guys, how's it going? It's Al. Hope that you had a fantastic Thanksgiving eating turkey or shrimp lo mein, or according to FF Hitman, he gets a double hamburger with curly fries. Whatever you like to eat whatever you want. I hope that you had a fantastic time with friends and family and football and everything else on Thanksgiving, and hopefully, like me, you enjoyed the actual turkey dinner, because if you think turkey is an overrated meat, you probably are just not a good cook. You're telling on yourself and you're telling on your family members, because that stuff can be really tasty. But anyway, we got to talk about the DraftKings Week 12 main slate, because we've been focusing on Thursday and we've been focusing on the Black Friday game. So now we've got to focus on the 10-game main slate this week, and I think it's a fantastic slate for tournaments. We're going to break down everything that there is. Programming note, because it's a shorter slate and because of the truncated week of content, I am not going to be putting out a 5 under 5 video for Saturday that usually comes out. The top stacks video, which usually comes out on Thursday, will come out on Saturday. So look for that on Saturday. If you want players for GPPs under 10%, those are available in the cheat sheet. Head over to our Discord, smizzle.tv/Discord. Right inside the Discord, you can become a subscriber. There is a little link right near the top. It says, what does it say? It says subscribers, or it says subscribe here, or something along those lines. It's like the fourth thing down from the top under the banner. Or you can become a channel member here on YouTube, smizzle.tv/join. Either one gets all the same perms. The Week 12 cheat sheet will be in there, and you get access to all the VIP rooms. So take care of that. It's $5 a month. Very easy to go along with. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the notifications bell so that you get notified anytime I come out with any content, both for the rest of the season and in the off season. We're going to have a full slate of best ball and season long and everything else in variety type of content here on the channel. Leave a reply down below. Let me know how your dinner was on Thanksgiving, and let's go.
He's a legend.
The Week 12 Smiz Gang Listener League is posted on DraftKings, but it does not exist in the lobby. You have to go to the link tree at smizzle.tv/links if you want to find the link to that and literally everything else. The Fantasy Football channel, the Discord link is in there, the Listener League link, my Instagram, TikTok, everything else. Links to everything in the link tree, smizzle.tv/links. It is $10 to enter, 3 max, absolutely no rake. The best tournament that exists on DraftKings. I will shout out the winners on the Fantasy Football channel, separate from this main channel, every Monday on the recap video. If you do not watch that recap video, you should. I talk about the top 10 lineups that we had there, go over my cash game lineup, my tournament lineups. We talk about whether I won or I lost. People always asking for transparency, and I want to know, well, do you actually win? Like literally every Monday I go over everything that happened over the weekend since like 2015. So tune into that every single Monday, and let's bring in the chat. See what questions that they have for us today. Chat wants to know key to moist tender turkey. There's one, you got to brine it. There's a lot of different things. Yeah, butter under the skin, that's a whole other thing. Spatchcocking turkeys was like the big thing this year. Spatchcock turkeys was all the rage. That's the new turkey hotness, where you cut the spine out of the turkey and you flash it. You flatten it and you kind of crack it like it's one of those TikTok chiropractor videos. Just lay back. Okay, now exhale. You just crack it and you lay it out, and it cooks in like 2 hours. That's the new turkey hotness. But y'all don't want to know about cooking tips. Y'all not here for cooking. You have any questions about like the slate? Or are we just going to talk about turkey prep? Henry or Najee, okay in cash. I am not a fan of playing Najee Harris this year specifically. Not really where I want to go. Now, thankfully, they fired Matt Canada. Great. Dude had to go, obviously. But like, we have an interesting situation that's kind of developed over there in Pittsburgh. So kind of like, let's look at Najee Harris's usage here real quickly. So like the last few weeks, he's had some good games and he was cheaply enough priced that it kind of made sense. He's getting enough usage in the passing game. He just is not all that efficient. He's been good against Green Bay, terrible run defense. Tennessee, much worse against the run recently than they were earlier in the season. Scored a touchdown against the Rams, but like, he is not running well. He does not look spry. He does not look quick, and he's paled in comparison to his teammate Jaylen Warren, who just looks better. Passes the eye test for sure. Now the question is, has he earned, as they said, they actually started Jaylen Warren because Mike Tomlin said he deserves to hear his name called with the starters. He's literally outplaying Najee Harris on an efficiency basis, on an EPA per play basis, passes the eye test, all of those sorts of things. So at 5,400, I'd rather play Jaylen Warren than Najee Harris. Personally, that's my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. If you don't want to play him, if you say, look, he's a part-time player, I agree. I'm not expecting more than like 15 to 17 opportunities in this game. However, it's a situation where it's a divisional matchup. These teams know each other very well. And Cincinnati, without Joe Burrow, is going to profile to be a completely different team. And Jaylen Warren, I believe, for the rest of the season, for the run-in, is going to be leaned on a little bit more heavily than is Najee Harris. Najee Harris will be the grind it out back, the pound it back, all those sorts of things. But like Warren just gives them so much more explosiveness on offense that Harris just does not bring to the table right now. And he's getting an increase in snaps and an increase in volume and percentage of running back touches. So I kind of prefer Warren at this point. The other question was Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry gets scripted in and out of games right now, right? If they win, he does very, very well. If they lose, he does very, very poorly. This is a game where Tennessee is projected to win. They are the favorite in this game, and they play at home, and he's been more involved in the pass game. He gets all the goal line touches. They're 4-point favorites in this one, and Carolina trash on defense at stopping opposing running backs. So like, I think Derrick Henry is more than fine this week. He's in the 5-box running back graphic that went out on Instagram and everywhere else. So definitely go check that out. Avalanche, thank you for the 5 months. You like R. White. Yes, R. White is very good. Most people don't like him, but I think they're starting to hold their nose and come around on it because like we're going to be wrong about stuff. Anybody that tries to predict the future is going to be wrong. So the internet exists so that people can tell other people that they were wrong about something because of the crab mentality that's endemic in society, right? If you don't know what crab mentality is, go look it up on Wikipedia. Educate yourself. Let's learn something this week if you don't know what crab mentality is. So that guy was wrong and he thinks that he's smart. So I got to tell him that he was wrong about a thing so he stops thinking that he's smart about the thing. So like Rachaad White was the guy that we were targeting in drafts in the offseason, in preseason when he was really cheap, or early in the season when he was really cheap. And it's not a situation where it's impossible. Are we doing the cash game vote? We should be, but I don't know what mods I have here because it is Thanksgiving weekend. Headlock, can you feed Rosie she can do the things. I've got to check out Headlock's perms as a mod here in the channel because he should be able to do it, but he said he can't. Rosie, can you do the cash game chat votes so we can get up the cash game core for this week? That would be outstanding. Thank you very much. Should we be excited about Kyren Williams this week? I'm excited about Kyren Williams this week. The Rams come down to one thing for me at this point. There's one thing. So like, let's specifically talk about Kyren Williams to start this off. Kyren Williams has been on IR. Kyren Williams, before he went on IR, was phenomenal, right? Absolutely phenomenal. Averaging 19.5 DraftKings points per game on absolutely tremendous volume, running exceptionally well, and basically being efficient in games that they were in or ahead. He performed very well. Throw out the game against Philly. They're just too darn tough. The game against Cincinnati, he did not perform well, but whatever, right? Like everybody's okay to have a bad game. The other games, absolute smashes. Great volume, inclusion in the pass game, all the inside the 5 usage. And so they've been surviving since week 7 without him. And so Darrell Henderson Jr. came off the street and started playing and, kind of bopped around and did his thing. And then they just released him to sign him back to the practice squad. It wasn't like, well, maybe him and Henderson are going to split time. Maybe they're going to ease him back in. No, it's the Kyren Williams show once again at running back. He's going to get all the volume that you can handle for 6,600. Love him this week. The Rams, to me, overall, come down to Cooper Kupp. Practiced in a limited capacity on Thursday, according to the beat writer Jordan Rodriguez. Let's see if he plays this weekend. If he doesn't play, if Cooper Kupp does not play this weekend, we basically go back to early season Rams with Kyren Williams getting all the volume, with Puka Nacua. This Puka Nacua we've seen since Kupp got back is a good NFL player, but not a fantasy superstar. The Puka Nacua that existed pre-Cooper Kupp coming back is a double-digit target guy playing the Cooper Kupp role and doing it exceptionally well. You're not getting him for under 6,500 anymore, but you're gonna, you can get there with him, and I kind of like him. And I like him specifically in Stafford stacks if you want to attack the Arizona defense, a team that can give up a lot of points. And then Tutu Atwell is the one who really struggled and suffered since the return of Cooper Kupp. 3 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets, 2 targets. Let's go back and remember what his targets looked like without Cooper Kupp. 8, 9, 9, 9. Like, it was very consistent. And we kind of knew what we were getting into when we would roster Tutu Atwell. So I like him. I know that somebody's going to say, well, what about Tyler Higbee? That not really, it wasn't great, right? It was okay. Like, you can play Tyler Higbee if you want for 3,500, if no Cooper Kupp, but like, they're not really involving the tight end like they did in the past. Arizona, though, very bad, specifically defensively, and also always has been bad against tight ends. So, like, if you wanted to sprinkle Tyler Higbee in there, I'm all for it if you wanted to go that route. Thoughts on Rondale at 3,900? So there's a lot of guys under 3,900. What about single game picks for today's game? So this video is going to go out during and after the game, so we're not going to talk about that game, but there is a video up on YouTube for that game if that's what you're interested in finding out about. It's on this channel. Thoughts on recently quiet Evan Ingram? Recently being like the year 2023? Because that's been the extent of his recentness. That's how recently he's not been doing well. They're just not involving him in the red zone or the end zone, which doesn't make any sense. But it kind of is what it is. I wanted to take a look at the sub $4,000 wide receivers, because I think that there's an awful lot of them. And I know I'm going to miss some, so forgive me if I don't mention the guy that you're thinking about here. I feel like Houston's going to be at full strength this week. Tutu Atwell, we just talked about, at 4,100. Zay Jones is back, 3,900. Got 4 targets, did not run 4 targets. Got 4 targets last week. Plays in one of the games that I think is possibly going to shoot out this week with how efficient both of those offenses can be and how giving both defenses have been. And Zay Jones always carries touchdown upside with him because of his usage inside whenever he's one of their team leaders in terms of end zone targets per route run. Rondale Moore was the question mark. It's the same thing I felt last week. He went right back to his J.D. McKissick with no targets role against Houston last week. So, like, I'm not thrilled about Rondale Moore, and I have not been thrilled about Rondale Moore all season long. This game could be an outlier. We thought that it signaled a differentiation in the way that they were going to utilize him with more targets, some more downfield targets. He did catch this 48-yard touchdown last week against Houston, which basically was the reason that he got there and kind of luck boxed paying off this salary, because if that pass does not get caught, he's got like 0.6 points. It was bad game from him from a volume perspective, but it's one of those where, like, you just kind of wipe your brow and go, whew, we got there with that one, even though it was chalky. He was the bad chalk that we thought he was, at least on volume. People are going to go towards Khalil Shakir at 3,600. Has he taken over the number 2 role from Gabe Davis? No, I don't think so. He's definitely running more routes. He's definitely playing more snaps. But if you take away the 81-yard touchdown, he had 2 catches for like 35 yards, and he's just in this same range with everybody else that is in this range. Mims Jr. pops, but he doesn't do anything. Mingo's getting a whole lot of routes and targets, but how efficient are those targets? Tennessee has struggled. I think that he's fine at 3,300. Wilson, I believe, if I saw that on Underdog's feed, Odell Beckham, here's the Underdog news. Odell Beckham Jr. said he expects to be a game-time decision. Zay Flowers says he'll play. Those are not on the main slate. T. Higgins ruled out for Week 12, opening up the volume and value there for the Croc Hunter, like we've seen in past weeks. Hayden Hurst, concussion listed out for this week. That's a tight end. Michael Wilson, shoulder on Arizona, ruled out for this week. That was about 1 hour ago. So Dortch is going to run some routes. He's going to play in the slot. That's probably going to move Rondale outside. That means that Dortch is fine at 3,300, though a low ceiling play. However, I like these kind of low. Oh, come on, chat. Chat just picked 3 QBs with the same thing. I'm going to be the deciding vote on that one. So I know what I'm going to do there, but I'm going to be the deciding vote. So Dortch is fine. Irwin, as I said, also fine. You know he's going to run a ton of routes. It's just questionable what type of quarterback play he's going to get. If they throw it 30 times, he could get 5 to 8 targets in this game. But all of those players, oh yeah, there's one more at 3,000. Had a big game last week. We're not going to find him on this. Too many guys. Justin Watson brought in 11 targets following a game against Miami where he had 5 targets, 16.3 points on an island game, now squares off against Las Vegas. This, whether you want to believe so or not, is going to rank highly in the minds of people based on recency bias and based on being on an island game does matter how it affects ownership moving forward. Okay, chat, make sure you take part in the cash game polls so that we can get a more robust look. Okay, he does have downfield ability. We know that they look to him on deep passes. No, I am not expecting 11 targets again. I think we're going to see what he normally gets, 3 to 5 targets. If you want to bet on 11 targets, you go right ahead. But there's somebody that people are ignoring. And I think it's a miss from every single projection set that I've seen. And I've looked at 5 of them so far. And every one of them, either all of them are right, and all these other guys I just talked about are projecting for between 7.5 and 10 points at sub 4K. And this other guy is projecting for like 4 pretty much everywhere. Michael Thomas is on IR, which does a couple of things. It's going to open up snaps for an outside wide receiver in a big body. What it's going to do, taking a look over here at PFF, Chris Olave is clearly going to be the main guy and the alpha that he has been all year based on volume for this team. Double-digit targets in all of these games, runs routes all the time, massive route participation, 95.7%. It's going to elevate Rachaad Shaheed a little bit. You know, he's going to run more routes. He had been running against Chicago 24, against Indy 16, last game against Minnesota 41 routes, but they can't run him outside all the time. When they go 3 wide, which they do an awful lot, if you look at who ran routes in this one last game that they played before their bye week, it was A.T. Perry. 93% route participation, played on 45, played more snaps than Rachaad, only got 4 targets. 2 catches, 38 yards. Yes, one of them was for a touchdown. I don't think A.T. Perry, on a projections basis, is that much worse than a Justin Watson. I don't think that he's that much worse than a Greg Dortch. I think he has more touchdown upside than a Greg Dortch. I think that Dortch will get more targets than him. But if he's going to run 40 routes based on the typical philosophy that I run with of you can't score points when you're holding your helmet on the sideline, all the attention is going to go towards Chris Olave in coverage. Teams should be scheming for Rachaad Shaheed anytime he's on the field. He did get 9 targets last game, which is fantastic, though they are typically downfield targets. But A.T. Perry is going to fill the position, not the role, but the position occupied by Mike Thomas. He's 3,200. He's going to be like 0.2% owned in large field. This is the Greg Dortch play of 2024. People ask me because, like, in week 1 last year, I was all over Greg Dortch, and it was this same situation. He's going to be out there. He's going to run routes, and he's going to get some targets just based on the way that football is played. If he's going to run 40 routes, he can earn a few targets. He's also a big-bodied wide receiver that they might look to once they get inside the red zone and with end zone targets. He has the same fail rate as everybody else, in my opinion. I think that he has a similar floor to all those other sub 4K guys. I'm not telling you to make him like a core guy. I'm not telling you to lock button him. I just kind of feel like his floor is between 4 and 5.5 DraftKings points, like every other wide receiver in that range. And his ceiling is somewhere around 13 to 18 points. If he gets 3, 4, 5 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown, you're flying. So I kind of don't feel like he's getting the respect that he should get based on the current role change that he's in. That's it. You know, that's all. Perry Cash, no, he's a large field tournament play, in my opinion. Thoughts on Rachaad White and Dynasty, thinking about dealing for DJ Moore? I would always, look, I don't play in a Dynasty league right now, but I would always trade for an alpha wide receiver over a running back. Running backs don't last that long. If you're playing Dynasty, you want guys who are going to last a while. Thoughts on Josh Allen? I think he's good. I think people aren't going to play him. I think people aren't going to stack Josh Allen this week. It's a short slate, 10-game slate. They're playing in a game that has an awful lot of offensive talent. Yes, the Eagles are a good defense, but like this isn't a situation where like they can't go off, right? The Eagles have been susceptible downfield on the outside, and they've been susceptible over the middle. See in chat immediately, 150 Josh Allen. You guys want to take a look? Let's go over and take a look. If you do not have an account over at the Solver, you should probably go use my link at smizzle.tv/solver. Right now, I believe that they are running a Black Friday sale for use the code NFL50 at checkout after using my link, please. You can get a discounted rate for the rest of the season for the Solver. I run 300 lineups for you guys, and we run them through the simulation that they have. And you can, depending on like what level or tier that you get in, you can run the sims for everything else. So here's the lineups that I ran in there, and I ran a bunch of different quarterbacks. So like if I isolate 2 quarterbacks, this is for large field. We'll sort by sim ROI real quick. And look, oh look, in large field, it kind of likes the Josh Allen lineups a whole lot because of what else you can do around them. See, chat saw Pickett, but didn't realize it wasn't sorted correctly. It's got the top ROI stacks as right now. Again, this is somewhat vanilla lineups. These are not final. Do not copy these lineups. Don't be an idiot. Stafford, Mayfield, Minshew, Allen, Hurts. For smaller field, the ROIs are going to be lower, but it's still got the Allen lineups up there. A whole lot of Stafford shows up in the large field stuff. You see a lot of Stafford lineups in there, kind of for the reasons that I was talking to you about earlier. And it really likes Allen, Hurts, Stafford, a little bit of Stroud for single entry, medium to small field stuff. So head over to the Solver. Great lineup builder, ETR's projections, as well as their fantastic sim product. Smizzle.tv/solver. Wilson is out or no? Which Wilson are you talking about? You really have to specify. What a price jump for Dell. Yeah, I like Tank Dell. We've been on Tank Dell all year, and everybody just seems to want to, it's the 2-button meme. You know, the guy who's sweating and there's 2 buttons on the console. One is, should I keep playing Tank Dell? And the other one is, do I hate money? Yes, keep playing Tank Dell. Keep doing that, please. An exclamation point Solver in the chat if you want the link to the Solver. You've had Dell in your lineup for 3 of the last 4 weeks, been your best player. He's been a stud. We made a lot of money on Tank Dell early in the year. He was one of the key guys who was responsible for that week that I was challenging for the Millionaire Maker. Shocked that he's under 7,500. Yes, I can't believe it. He has as high a ceiling as anybody. He's getting peppered with short to intermediate targets, and he's winning downfield. Is ETN too pricey this week? For what specifically? For cash? Probably. For cash, you're playing point per dollar plays, and I think you could play him, but like for GPP, there's no such thing as too pricey. You kind of have to change your thinking for GPP. Not you specifically, but players in general. Players in general have to kind of change their philosophy about GPPs. The words trust, can this guy hit value? There's no value in GPPs, guys. You're not looking for value. That's a cash game philosophy. In cash games, you are trying to get yourself to or above 150 points. Because if you can score over 150 on DraftKings, unless it is a completely weird week, you will probably be profitable in cash games. That has been the number for 12 years. And unless they completely change the scoring or tweak the salaries way down where the cash game would move way up, you're really only concerned with ceiling opportunities, correlation. How can I get there? Because that's what leads to winning in tournaments way more often than any other philosophy. Putting yourself in a position to win. McBride is still sub 5K. Is he a lock in cash? I think he's playable in cash. Lock is a strong word. UNC, thank you for the 73 months. We need some love in chat for UNC, one of our hardworking mods here. Someone just ordered a turkey sub at work. Come on, man. Yeah, you can't be doing that. The stream is botted? What do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about. Kelsey only if Taylor is here. She's what? She's in like South America right now? You're going with you can't play somebody if she's in South America? Not gonna go that far. Kelsey's fine. The problem is finding somebody else. And the problem is with the price that Kelsey's at this week, he's clearly a differentiator, right? Like just on fantasy points per game at that position. He's averaging like 6.5 points more than the next guy at the position. But he's priced like an alpha wide receiver. Kamara's 84, Diggs is 88, Chase is 83, but like this is dangerous because we don't know what type of volume he's going to get. He's 82. Like That's really a strong price, right? That's really a strong price at 8,200 when you rank by points per game and he's here. And yes, it can make a difference specifically at that position. The thing is, there's so many, as I highlighted earlier, there's so many cheap wide receivers to make it viable that I think it's something that we have to consider for GPPs. I don't think that you're going to play him in cash. Guys, you can't tie every vote. You can't tie every single vote. That's not okay. This is very frustrating. Chad has tied like 2 of the 3 votes. You can't do that to me. Miami or Pitt for Rainmaker deep roster. Oh man, I didn't even get my deep roster stuff in this week. I wasn't involved. Can the voting go into overtime? And we could do another vote with just those 2. Do another vote with just those 2 for 1 minute. I did have a good Thanksgiving. You shipped the Monday Night Showdown with 3 dupes. Wait, there were only 3 people? How much money did you get? That's like 100K. How much did you win? Must be double tight end week. Achan, Claypool, and Chosen out. Yeah, seems pretty standard. But again, by the time this video comes out on YouTube, all the Friday stuff is irrelevant. Does Irwin get a big bump with Higgins out? It's already included. That was expected. So like Irwin is fine. Irwin is what he's been the last few weeks. Irwin's going to run a lot of routes. Irwin does not have the quarterback play that he's had before. He should get between 5 and 7 targets. And you know that they utilize him downfield. It's not just like wide receiver screens. It's not the Dortch usage. Yeah, don't double count. Exactly. Projection sets were already assuming that Higgins was out and are already grading Irwin for that probability. Who was the running back that won? Let's do the cash game play for chat and figure out what you guys had in there. At quarterback, there was kind of a tie. It was like a 3-way. It was Rachaad. Okay. It was a 3-way tie. So here's the thing. I think at quarterback, there's 2 routes. Personally, I think you're going all the way up here for Jalen Hurts. Or the other route that you can go is to come all the way down here for either Baker Mayfield as the worst picture or Gardner Minshew. In the dome, they have scored and allowed more points per game. Defensively, they've been horrible at home, right? They play better there. No weather for us to worry about post-Thanksgiving. This was a tie. I'm going to break it. Chat, I'm going to break this one for you with Gardner Minshew. At running back, chat went to the other side with Rachaad White and the tremendous usage that he has gotten against Indy's horrible defense on the fast track at Lucas Oil. He's very solid at 6,100. At wide receiver, who'd you guys have at wide receiver? I saw it and now I forget. Who'd you guys have at wide receiver? At tight end, oh yeah, it was Tank Dell. They had Tank Dell in chat. Chat had Tank Dell as their cash game core receiver. I'm fine with that, right? And at tight end, they had a tie. And I don't see the thing running, so I'll talk about the 2. The first one was Trey McBride. Elite usage for Trey McBride. Still only 4,700. And the other play that they had was Dalton Kincaid going against Philadelphia. Again, that same elite usage. Targets. That's all we want. I'm going to go with McBride because of all the other things that you can do. If you wanted to go up to Kincaid, I'm totally fine with that. So we're going to go with McBride, Dell, White, Minshew as chat's cash game core. If you wanted all of my cash game core as well as top 5 per position, top 10% plays, and my top stacks, expensive stacks, and then the bargain type stacks, the pukey type stacks that we talk about on the top stacks video, all of those are available in the Discord. Smizzle.tv/Discord. Become a member there, or a subscriber there, or a channel member here on YouTube, smizzle.tv/join. To get access to the Week 12 cheat sheet. What else do you guys want? What else do we need to know? Have we covered basically like all of it at this point? Should we look at Jack's performance last week as a mirage? I mean, paying attention to 1 week sample sizes is pretty much a recipe for disaster. No Kyler for cash. I mean, I feel like that mid-range is dead zone right now based on standard roster construction. So like the mid-range quarterbacks feel just weird. Kyler at 6,900, Lawrence at 6,400, Stafford at 6,300. Because of everything else that you can fit around them, to me it feels like you're stuffing one extra value play in and going all the way up to Hurts, or you're coming way down here to somebody like Minshew who provides, enough rushing ability that he can do a little bit of something if he breaks contain. But when they play at home, they just tend to score more points. And Tampa Bay, being the pass funnel that they have been, is interesting. And the same thing goes on the other side for Baker Mayfield, that this game could be kind of one of those sneaky shootouts. They've allowed like 30 points or more 4 times this year, I believe Indianapolis has. Just solid floor plus upside if they can't run the ball with Rachaad White and have to pass the ball with Rachaad White. That Baker Mayfield makes an awful lot of sense. Those are the 2 routes that I think are. If you want to go somewhere else in cash, here's the rules. If I don't think something is the way, you guys can always play something else. My word is not Bible. That's not the way it works when it comes to predicting the future. I just don't think that the roster builds that I've built so far look anywhere close to being on like you're getting. Here's the short way to say it. I feel like when you play a mid-range quarterback this week based on the slate and the pricing, you lose too many points on optimal. You're giving up like 3 to 4 points on optimal every time I've tried to build a lineup with one of those mid-range guys. So that's tough for me to want to give up that many points on optimal in cash games. The optimals look a lot better either paying up for one extra guy by coming down off Hurts or just saying, screw it, I'm locking in my 24 points plus with Jalen Hurts here. And, you know, just playing one more because there's so many from 4,100 and down. There's so many cheap options at wide receiver. And based on DraftKings scoring is really easy. You like Allen over Hurts this week for cash? Okay, that's fine. Taysom Hill on FanDuel. Is he still a tight end? If he's a tight end, yes. If he's a quarterback, no. In GPP, that's okay to sacrifice points. So in GPP, when I say sacrifice points on optimal, I'm talking about median projections. Cash games is all about projectable points per dollar. Tournaments are all about ceiling and opportunity, and you're playing against the field. So like you're dealing with not just their points that they're going to score. You're dealing with how many of the field are going to be on that, and what's the probability of them getting to that number. And if they get to that number, how many other people are running with you and how many other people do you leave behind? And if they get to that number, when you win, what do you win? So like the weeks where we've said don't mess around at running back because you don't have to play an off the chart running back in GPP even because there's just so many running backs that are viable that are projecting for over their salary slot. Like this week on the main slate, there's less of them. There just are. There's just less projecting than there have been because there's less on the slate, but there's still a lot. Running backs who are projecting for 2 or more points, and 2 is a large number. 2 or more points on median projection than their salary slot. Jonathan Taylor, Rachaad White, Ramondre Stevenson, James Conner, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, Kyron Williams, Jalen Warren, Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Bijan Robinson, Jerome Ford, DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, Tajay Spears, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. Basically everyone. So there's no reason to get off the reservation at running back. Just play the right guys, right? Have a shorter list of running backs. You can get a little bit contrarian because all of them can't be over 20%, but we've seen running back be pretty consolidated in terms of, there's like usually one chalky guy and then the rest is like a bunch around 15 to 20%. Demario Davis in a GPP. Sure, but how are you playing him in a G? Like, what's the point? Because one-off plays aren't how I like to play GPP. I will allow one-off plays. We did it a few weeks ago, very specifically, where I really liked Amari Cooper, but I hated the opponent that they had, and I did not think that anybody could get there, and I didn't want to go after that. So if you think that Demario Davis is going to get a lot of volume, and I think that that's right, and I'm not saying you're wrong, Demario Davis is basically their number 1 wide receiver at this point. 50 snaps last week, 53 the week before, 41 against the Dolphins when they lost Kendrick Bourne, 6 the week before against the Bills. 6 targets. So his snap count has been rising. His snap percentage has been rising. His routes run has been all the way up. 9 targets, 7 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets. No touchdowns over that span, though, because they just don't really do that. I think that he's a better cash game play than a tournament play, and he's impossible to correlate because, like, we're going to just throw darts at the DeVito Giants offense. That seems dangerous. That just seems dangerous to me. Doesn't mean it's impossible. Doesn't mean that he can't get there. Barkley, yeah, he'll get the volume for you. Would I rather stack ETN or Jags wide receivers or bring back Houston stack? I go all over the place. So I don't, you gotta think about how that game's going to go. Whenever you're building a tournament lineup, you're not building for projection. You're building for everything going right. Kind of like how you draft best ball teams. You don't draft a best ball team with like, well, this guy is a safe play. You have to draft for like everything going right. When you draft a quarterback in best ball, you're drafting that quarterback because what are the, like, if he has an MVP type season, what does that look like? Right? Same thing goes for drafting a quarterback in daily fantasy. When he has a 30-point day, if you're putting a quarterback into a GPP, you're drafting him in that lineup for a GPP for if he has a 30-plus point day. And if he has that day, what does it look like? Unserious defense question. Giants or Titans? I haven't thought about the unserious defenses yet. I think New England's going to be by far. Again, it's just play anybody playing Washington and play anybody playing against the Giants, right? So like that's A. So that's the first thing that you have to attack. But like unserious defenses, like the cheapest ones. First of all, DraftKings just screwed defense this year. It's like, screw you guys. It's random. We're just going to make defense pick them. We're going to totally price up anybody that's in a good matchup. I think Tennessee is probably better. They take a lot of sacks, and Carolina specifically takes a lot of sacks and gives up a lot. Am I concerned about A.J. Brown thigh injury? Not right now. It's not something that has been concerning me. He had a really tough matchup against the Chiefs. We'll monitor that as it goes along. We'll get the Friday practice report. We'll see if it's going to be something that limits him on Sunday. You know? But people don't realize how tough that KC matchup is. We tend to remember the Kansas City Chiefs defense from the past few years, and this is not them. Show a Tampa Bay stack. What do you mean? We're going to do top stacks for Saturday. We got that. Like there's 4 pass catchers or Rachaad White. It's Baker Mayfield and then Evans, Godwin, Otten, and or Trey Palmer if you want the value guy, and then White. That's it. Very simple and straightforward. But I think that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for hanging out. I wish you the best of luck on the Sunday slate, and we will be back for top stacks, not 5 under 5, on Saturday morning. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.